Great emotional win. On the road in this league is always difficult, but really proud of our players. Very stagnant on offense, moving. Felt like we had the first drive and had some drives. We're very sporadic, obviously, in the throwing game as well. Jeff's first interception was a back shoulder ball. DeMarcus got to get two hands on the ball, tips the ball up. They make the play. They're early in the game. But we felt like we were very stagnant. We need to make a change at the quarterback position in this game and go with Treon. He obviously brought some energy to us. Made a nice ball on the throwback down the sideline over there. Really proud of his composure coming into a tough place and doing an outstanding job. Extremely proud of him. Moving forward, just so I'll get ahead of your questions, we won't make any decision on who's going to start our next ball game today. It was a very emotional win. We're going to go home. We're going to watch the film. We're going to see why we're not obviously offensively doing some things that we feel like are there. It wasn't all on Jeff on the one interception. Our running back doesn't pick up the A-gap blitzer. He gets splattered and throws the ball a little errant, down the middle. He has another situation where it's a tip ball at the line of scrimmage. But we just weren't getting into any flow of the game. So very proud of Treon and the job he did, but I also felt like that, again, we had too many drops. We had a couple missed signals, one on a critical third down where Jeff had to take a sack. We had a screen called, and the receiver doesn't run the screen. So our execution offensively, our communication, it needs to improve tremendously. Very proud of what we did defensively against what I think is a very good throwing offense. Justin Worley's playing extremely well, throwing the ball to some very good skill players. And I thought we defended and rushed four pretty good today. So we'll all be happy about that. Red zone defense was outstanding. You look at especially starting the second half, we have the tip ball interception off the play action. Vernon comes back with a huge pick in the end zone. We have good pressure and a good cover down. I thought for the most part, we had one issue on the first third down of the game where we had a miscommunication. I think we would have been fine. I didn't feel comfortable. That's why I called timeout. And then one other situation when they hit the wheel route on their sideline, where in a situation where a player's hurt, we always tell them to stay on the ground. And we got a late substitution and we didn't cover down. But our adjustments to tempo were much better by our players. Extremely proud of the tempo they played with and how they handled that part of the game. But really proud of our football team. Again, it wasn't always pretty. We did the things we had to do, especially you're down 9 on the road in the fourth quarter. You make a quarterback change. And our guys didn't blink. They responded to it. We were much better on third down defensively, much better on third down offensively against a very good third down defense. So, again, really proud of our football team and how we were able to come out and play, do the things we had to do to win the game. So I'll open it up for any of your questions.
Right, whereas Austin Harden's outside if anyone wants to get him.
Coach, when you make
a great kick by Austin Harden. That was an outstanding. I thought we were going to get a delayed game, Mike. But we didn't. We got it off in time, and, boy, he hit it, and a lot of confidence in him. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
When you make a quarterback change, oftentimes it does just provide a spark because it's a change, right?
Well, again, it's not all on Jeff Driscoll, and I know that we'll all write that it is on him. It's not. We had a couple protection issues. We had a missed we checked to a screen on third down. We don't execute the screen. Jeff gets splattered. That's not Jeff Driscoll's fault. And I'm not defending him. I'm a football coach, and there are things that happen that are very, in my opinion, tough on him to be able to handle. And unfortunately, being the quarterback, you're going to take the brunt. That's part of it, and he understands that. He's mentally as tough as I've been around, and he's going to be fine. And if we have to play two quarterbacks moving forward, we'll do that. We're going to do what it takes to win games. And there's no question that Treon brought some energy to us. The guy's got a calmness about him, very confident. So very proud of how he responded in this situation.
Will, can you talk about the sequence where Tabor made the play and then you brought Harrison? It just seemed to get everybody going.
Well, we felt like in what they had done early in the game, what they had shown us in that personnel group, and we could get pressure off the backside. It was a nice call by DJ. We get the strip, and we had already made the decision before that time that we wanted to go to Treon. Yep.
Will, can you talk about your defense 2 weeks ago gets the most yards in Florida and comes back and plays that kind of defensive game?
Well, I think as much as anything, in the Kentucky game, we lost some confidence coverage-wise. And, the secondary, and I've been coaching a long time, is a very fragile position. And as to go back to old terms, it's the last line of defense. And when you suddenly give up a play, it's, they always talk in terms of having a short memory. Well, for a young player, that's very difficult to be able to, from a maturity standpoint, overcome giving up a play. And then it creates a little consternation. We're not real sure. We're a little uncertain about what we're doing. Then the confidence issues go out. So, there was a lot of things that happened. I believe that, number one, Blake Sims played an outstanding game against us. I thought he was really accurate in his throws, and based on talking to their staff, as accurate as he's ever been. So we certainly helped him. I mean, when you cut a guy loose down the middle, it's pretty good. That isn't very good. So we just, I think, simplified some things, and it wasn't oversimplification, but we got some turns and reps. Now, we had 2 weeks to prepare, so we're not the 85 Bears. So let's don't jump to any conclusions here. We have a long way to go, but again, like I said before the season, athletically, I think we're going to be fine. We can't make mistakes like busting a coverage and not rolling to the middle of the field like we did against Alabama, and some of the knucklehead things that we've certainly done in 4 ball games.
Did you do anything to get their confidence back up, though, during these 2 weeks?
Well, we did a lot of good work, and we do that anyways. I think as much as anything, trying to take as much off them from, we're a formation check defense. And we've always been that way because my point is, why get in a bad look if you don't have to? But we tried to take as much as them off them as we could. And if we had to live it down with a bad look, then we're going to live it down with a bad look. But I told DJ, let's just don't put as much on them at the line of scrimmage. We don't have those guys right now that can handle that. When we came up here 2 years ago against a really good offensive football team, with Hunter and Patterson outside. I mean, Luchez and Marcus were first-year starters. Really, Marcus had started the year before. Luchez really hadn't much, but we had Josh Evans and Matt Elam. The guys that were able to make all the calls for him and be a calming factor. Keanu's improving in that regard. Duke Dawson got his first start today. Jabari Gorman's improved in that factor. So, again, I think that the ability of things is there. It's just we got to continue to rep it,
Well, looking, you just said calm, collected performance from Treon. On the other hand, with Jeff, given his last couple of games and all the mistakes, interceptions, where's his confidence?
Well, again, I think that he's a tough guy. He's also a big picture guy and understands the game of football. He understands it's not on his shoulders as far as, some of the mistakes that have been made. But we just got to, tie some things together moving forward that we feel comfortable with, that our players feel comfortable with, and kind of like we've done defensively. And that's our job as coaches.
What was the game plan today? It seemed like you guys were really run-oriented, didn't really take a lot of shots downfield.
Well, we felt like we needed to run the ball. We wanted to be able to run the ball and play action, and we felt, Matt had over 100 yards, and we got the run going. We hit some runs late, and we wore them down a little bit, but that was, we felt good about the run game coming in more than anything because of them, not necessarily because of us.
Did Treon get more reps in practice after Alabama, or?
No, those, Jeff and Treon take the majority of, if not all, the reps at practice anyways. So I don't know that his reps were any different than they have been before, no.
Also, it looked like you stayed with Jeff as long as you could, really.
Well, again, I think that Jeff's further along in where we are offensively, and that's not a knock on Treon. That's just from an experience standpoint. He has more wealth of experience of playing. So, given this, the situation and the reps at practice, he gave us more options of things to do offensively. Treon had never repped the throwback at practice. That was something we discussed on the sideline going off the turnover. So I felt like that, again, he came in and did an outstanding job. I think Kurt really put him in some good situations, but he had certainly a confidence about him that was nice.
Could you talk about the young guys on defense that came through, like Cox, Tabor, Dawson?
Yeah. Brian Cox been through a tough time. He lost a very close family member last couple of days. It's been a hard time for him. Matter of fact, he didn't get back to the hotel till late last night from a wake situation. But Jalen Tabor's going to be a good player. Duke Dawson continues to improve. He's understood. Duke understands more about the importance of practice. And where young players build confidence for me is in practice. To be able to understand if they can execute in practice and function and communicate, then they'll be able to take it to the game, and that's not something that's always been as paramount. So I feel comfortable that he's certainly improve that part of it. And he's going to be a really good player. Brian Cox played well. Gerald Wills got in there. He's going to be a good player for us. I don't know who else you got.
Will, with
Dawson played well. Yeah.
when you talk about Trayon not having rep that, you mean this in the last 2 weeks, or you mean ever?
No. I mean, he's repped it before. We've got the throwback, but I mean, this past week in practice, Rope kind of brought it up to me. Said, something he hadn't repped, and we were in a dead ball situation, and I communicated to him. You feel good about it? And he said, yeah, let's go. Yeah,
Can you talk about the end of the game, the 3 plays there? I mean, you put Jeff back in and.
Well, Treon had not done much under center, and that always concerns me being a shotgun team as under center. And matter of fact, we've had many a debate about why all of a sudden are we going to get under center in this situation. But we start every practice with under center snaps, multiple, a bunch of them, and work on under center. Treon had not done as much under center snaps with Max. Jeff had. But they were lined up all sides, and they were illegal what they were doing.
They slapped the ball?
Yeah, they slapped the ball.
Was
Bunch
it
of
out-
illegal stuff.
Was it out of the question to do like a victory formation from a shotgun?
We've had discussions with that, but that's why we start every practice with under center snaps. We feel very comfortable with that. And hey, it's been discussed at length because that's my concern. But we start every practice for that reason with under center snaps,
Kurt
and
said earlier-
it's a concern.
Kurt said earlier this week that Treon wasn't ready to run this offense. What does he still need to do to be able to maybe?
Well, I don't know that Kurt said he wasn't ready to run the offense. I think maybe from a standpoint of the every play and what we do, maybe not so much because of the number of reps. I don't. There's not one coach or player in that locker room that didn't think he's ready to run the offense. It's just a matter of what you're going to be able to run, what you're going to be able to call, and what he's going to be comfortable with. So I think you misquoted him on that. Right?
How much confidence do the players have in him, even though he's a true freshman?
Well, they got a lot of confidence in him. He's one of those guys that has the it factor. He's a winner. He won at Booker T for a bunch of games. No different than Will Greer, no different than other quarterbacks that I've been around. That are guys that have that certain aura about themselves. We still have a long way to go with everything we're doing, and we need to make some tremendous improvements offensively.
Coach, you said every win's a must-win, but did this one feel like more of a must-win because of the Alabama?
Well, I mean, I think that winning on the road and winning an Eastern Division opponent and making it 10 in a row over Tennessee at the University of Florida, that's pretty special. And so I think says a lot about our guys coming on the road, the perseverance, fighting through the adversity. Had a great crowd out there. They were into the game, excited, and it was good to send them home disappointed.
So is Matt okay? He looked over the Aaron Jones.
What's that?
Is Matt all right?
Yeah, I think from an injury standpoint, I don't have anything listed, so I think we're good. From what?
Earlier about Kyle and the way he plays the field for you guys. Can you talk about him today?
Yeah, well, I mean, he's a huge weapon for us. We've got good coverage units. Valdez sprained his ankle, so he was unavailable to us. I mean, I don't think it's anything serious. He just didn't feel good about his change of direction. And he's one of our best gunners. But yeah, there's no question. We had the one that was a good call on the clip. We clipped him on the punt return by Andre early in the game. So we got to do a better job with our return units. But Kyle's a very valuable weapon for us.
You talked about after the 3 interceptions, you only gave up 6 points. How huge that was?
Well, again, that's just I tell our guys, you're the fireman. You better put the fire out. I don't want to hear excuses. We ain't pointing fingers. It's an opportunity for greatness is the way I look at it. I hope we fumble every opening kickoff. So it's an opportunity to go out for greatness. I'm just kidding, I don't. As a defensive coordinator, I used to tell the guys that and then hold my breath that it never happened. But
Well, what was it at the end of the half? You guys took a delay of game.
well, this was the deal. In that situation, when the ball was down inbounds, they had an injured player. So from a standpoint from an injured player, if it had gone back to the 40-second clock, when it's an administrative timeout, it goes to a 25-second. If it had gone to a 40, I was going to milk it down and take a shot in the end zone. But when it went to the 25-second, it was going to go down to 10 seconds. And so that's in the box. We had a little miscommunication. They thought it was supposed to be set back to 40, but when it's an administrative timeout, it goes back to 25. So I just took the delay of game knowing that we would have the runoff. I didn't know that he would take the runoff or not, make us punt. They could have come after it, whatever. But in that situation, we were going to take a shot in the end zone if they had reset it to 40. But because of the injury and the penalty, it went to 25. And that's just a different. It's based on where they set the clock off a dead ball situation. It goes back to the previous play, and it was an administrative issue. It goes back to 25 seconds. So I'd rather have taken the delay of game, of taking the risk of not running the whole clock off, taking a shot down the field, you don't make it, then they got a Hail Mary coming back at you.
Will the fact that Austin nailed that 49-yarder, I mean, with room to spare, change your thinking potentially? I mean, you won the 35, and with Caleb, obviously, 2 years ago, you probably would have kicked that one, but would that
Certainly.
change your thinking?
Well, you know, what concerned me there was a low kick, and they've done a good job rushing. And in the situation, if they were able to block one right there, you know, I get beat up last week, a couple of weeks ago at Alabama. That was the right decision. From a football perspective, that was the right decision, because you're on the road, you go in at halftime down 7, and then you create a turnover and you tie it up, and it's 21-21. So that's a pretty good decision, wasn't
Oh, yeah, well, I wasn't beating you up.
it? Okay.
Couple final questions, guys.
Coach Treon just won a game in front of 100,000 fans. I mean, he should be able to talk to the media, right?
Well, we have a policy that our freshmen don't talk, and people may change the policy Monday, but it's an emotional game. We're all happy. We're all excited for Treon. Vernon Hargraves played a bunch of good ball games for us last year, so we're not changing it for anybody.
What was the interaction like between Jeff and Treon when you made the
Jeff's fine. They're both teammates. He's a great teammate. He wants the University of Florida to be successful, and whatever we need to do for that to happen. He's very supportive of Treon, as well as Treon is for him too.
Did he say anything to Treon before he came?
I don't. I'm sure he did, but I don't know that there was a conversation.
Final
What
question,
would
guys.
you thinking to give him the momentum from this, not to move toward Treon?
Well, again, at the quarterback position, it's so easy to point the finger and say it's all him. It's not all him. I mean, we had a couple protection issues. We had, I know of fact, two busted routes. We had some drops again. We had a back shoulder ball that I thought was very catchable. I mean, there were some things in the game that it's not all on Jeff Driscoll. And I know we're all going to load up and point the finger at him. That isn't right. It's not right. It's not accurate. He reads defenses very well. He takes the ball to the right spots. He had an errant throw on the curl on their sideline, and he had the double move to DeMarcus. We wish he had gotten that one down the field. Those are 2 plays up off the top of my head. But I felt like we just needed a change of momentum in the game, and turned out it worked for us. And I'm proud of Treon and the way he responded in the game. But we need to go back and watch the tape and say, okay, why? Sometimes it's hard when you have an A-gap linebacker running through and your running back is supposed to block him, doesn't. And you got in that situation. Do you eat the ball? Do you try and put the ball in the money? I mean, those are situations easy for me and you to be critical, but sometimes it's hard in that situation.
You ran the read option early in the game, but sort of got away from it. It seemed to be working early. Was it just not open there middle of the game?
Now we hit it in the second half. Coming out the second series, Jeff hit one to midfield. But we felt like the way they were playing the edges a little bit. We had the counter, and the quarterback counter. Treon had 2 nice runs. Jeff had 1 nice run, and then we had the zone read called, but we handed it. They played the quarterback better than they did as the game went on there. So again, a lot of that situation is how they play you.
Thanks, guys. We're going to bring our players in.